We're going to start from this front page advertisement. Yeah, take.
There will be no peace. As Wike is persistent in wanting to blow all our money away in the name of publicity and whatever, and for as long as he now wants to make it look as if a president is some kind of megalomaniac, I'm going to face him squarely on this. And I'm going to do everything possible to see if we can put a stop to this practice. So we have the papers today again, front page, it's called Wrap Around. And this one now, we know the president's itinerary for today, like it's been in the past 2 years. The wraparound from the nation says that today, the president is again going to go and commission Kubwa Road, Wole Soyinka Way interchange bridges. So the president, he says that the president, Wike, he keeps welcoming the man every day. They're both in Abuja. He welcomes His Excellency DCFR to the commissioning of the newly constructed interchange bridges of Arterial Road, N20, that is Wole Soyinka Way, Outer Northern Expressway, Mirza Mohammed Expressway, and that is going to happen again at 2 p.m. The president needs to be advised very strongly. These things are going to count against him, at least by most reasonable and discerning people. Publicity in any form has to be measured. Publicity is not about making persistent noise. And not just that, remember that these things are not, that they're not read by your citizens only. It's read all over the world.
That's right.
And these little things matter in the Committee of Nations and in the Committee of Reasonable People. These things, at the end of the day, describe you as a megalomaniac and a bunch of unserious people. That is the way it is likely to be perceived. It will, even as it is irritating me, it will also irritate other people. And they're going to be asking the question, is there something wrong somewhere? So I'm going to plead again with the president to save our nation this embarrassment of everyday commissioning of every road, lane, avenue, close, water pass. It is gone a bit too far. So this is today's own for you to see. They're going to commission Kubwa Road. All this is to show that work is being done. If it wasn't for the level of our development, building roads is no big deal. In other countries, it is a daily routine. Mm-hmm. But again, and we will not shy away from repeating it all the time. All this commissioning, flag off, is a complete irritation, a waste of money, and at the end of the day, the optics don't look good. I hope the president will sit back and think this way. He also needs to sit back and think about naming almost everything in sight after him. And when he's finally retired, he will look back and say, why did I do all this? You need to look at people who did that in the past. Where are all the things that were named after Sonny Abacha? Where? Every corner. Where are all the generals that back in the day that were wearing Abacha badges? Do you remember that one on the uniform? I think somebody needs to pull the president's ear on this and say that enough is enough. Could we please continue with proper governance and proper whatever for our people?
Do you think that because when we talk about these things and we look at the mentality of the average Nigerian politician, remember that there was a politician who commissioned public toilets. There was a politician who commissioned one Bako pedestrian bridge.
Yeah,
we've commissioned all kinds of things, in Nigeria. With that kind of mentality, that person gets to be a minister or a commissioner or even the governor of the state. Wouldn't it get worse?
That's what has happened here. See, I don't want to get into any fisticuffs or verbal fisticuffs with Wike or whatever. I would rather just stay away from him in that regard. But I got a sense of this when during his screening, he said to his credit that he had built bridges by Julius Berger. it showed me the kind of mindset. He said, because they call, these things come on, because they call him so-called Mr. Projects, whatever that means. What is the big deal about signing contracts for roads and whatever? What is wrong with us as a people? Once that happened, I got an indication that there's something wrong. And the president needs to put everybody under some form of control, because, like he always says, the buck stops at his table.
Yeah, he says that a lot.
And so some of these silly things that are done supposedly to endear themselves to the president, he needs to know that at the end of the day, it will affect people's perception of him. There's a Yoruba proverb about when the drum is too loud. When you're playing music, no matter how good the music is, when it gets too loud, it's counterproductive. And that is exactly what is happening here. And if you see the videos, this same gentleman is the one that was seen in a video riding a Rolls Royce to a public event, a minister. And it looks, we don't know, at some point now, we'll soon be asking the question, who is the president and who is the minister? Is the president complicit in all these things? Or is it that he cannot put him under control? I know for sure that a lot of APC people, quite a number of them, are quite embarrassed by some of the things that this gentleman gets involved in. And the president needs to know that these little bits and pieces all add up to become a whole. These little bits and pieces, they all add up to become a whole. I will never forget in 1987, there was a gentleman called Hans Overgaard. He was the vice chairman of Unilever then. He was the one who kept telling me, Mr. Disu, always look out for the little things. If you look out for the little things, the big ones. So what is this every day in front of the papers for the past 2 weeks? Announcing projects, flag off, this, that. So what am I supposed to think of my government? That they are doing well? I repeat that for my perception of the government doing well has to do with my stomach, has to do with the way I live. And that, in a free and fair situation, it's not free and fair anyway, is what is going to be the determinant, the major determinant for most people. Not propaganda. There's this thing that, okay, let us showcase what we have done. Yes, fair enough, you can showcase what you have done. But if you showcase what you have done and I don't feel affected, at the end of the day, they argue with me, because I have loads of friends who are politicians. You go on the radio, you talk about all these things. They say I'm a theorist, I'm not a practical person. Nigerians will not forever be stupid. There's a lot of enlightenment now. The Nigerian you had 30 years ago is not the same Nigerian you have now.
Very true.
Now you don't need to put your hands over your head to start school. Even an illiterate has a phone in his or her hands, and they have a better perception of how things are done. And so these little things add up. It is important that all these things are important, because some of us want the president, whether you like the president or not, if he doesn't succeed, you fail. And nobody wants to fail. Look at the state we're in. You understand what I'm saying? So these little things matter. And for as long as we are showing that there's a lot of money to be frittered away, it will be difficult to carry people along to tell them to hold tight to their bellies.